Hello everyone and welcome to SIBO TV, where we interview awesome people and inspire change. I couldn't be more excited to be kicking things off with the amazing actor that is Melissa Johns. You might have seen Melissa in Doctors, Casualty, The Interceptor and Coronation Street. Not only is she an amazing actress, she's also a phenomenal champion for diversity within the media. In 2018, Melissa featured in the Shaw Trust 100 Most Influential Disabled People in the UK, and she was shortlisted for the Positive Role Model Award at the National Diversity Awards. Melissa has just wrapped on filming for a new 6-part BBC drama called Life by the Town writer Mike Bartlett, in which she plays one of the leads, and she's also developing a one-woman show in collaboration with the Lowry Live Theatre. And if that wasn't quite enough, she's also up for a BAFTA Elevate Award, which supports talent from underrepresented groups in progressing their careers and helps tackle the issue of diversity in the acting industry as a whole. So with no further ado, let's talk to Melissa about the challenges she faced growing up with a difference, how she turned it into her strength when breaking into the acting industry, and what really inspired her to succeed. Hi Melissa, super excited to be speaking with you today. You're officially our first guest on this brand new channel, which is really exciting. And what better person to have, because you're such a great advocate for diversity and inclusion. So we're really excited to be speaking with you today. Now, being a mum with a child with a limb difference, he's not quite at that age. He's only almost 3, so we haven't kind of got to that stage where he's really aware that he has a difference. But I'm sure that growing up with a visible difference is sometimes not so easy. Can you tell me a bit about your childhood and how you felt about your body growing up?
Yeah, so I was born in 1990, where it doesn't show up on scans. So it was a massive shock to my mum and dad. My mum was 25. I was their firstborn. They were put into a side ward because they were so heartbroken, and they had no idea what this meant. And it was my dad that saw it. When I came out, my dad thought that he saw something different, but the doctors took me away straight away and they wrapped me up, and they actually tucked my arm down into the blanket so it couldn't be seen. When my is everything okay, they said yes, perfectly healthy baby girl, everything's fine, which always makes me laugh. I'm not sure what they thought was going to happen. Like, oh no, it dropped off on the way home.
Yeah.
Not quite sure what they thought was going to happen for the rest of my life. So in the end, Dad said, look, I know something's wrong. Like, you haven't given it to us yet. And that's when they said there is one small problem. But the doctors weren't as familiar with it. And it was really, really, really hard on Mum, especially growing up. She was 25. She had no support. She didn't know about Reach. She says that she would sit and cry her eyes out when I was kind of sat on her lap. She would look, say, through the Argos catalogue with me, and get me to point at toys. And she just said that it would break her heart seeing so many children in the magazine and not look like me. So therefore, her assumption, Melissa's never going to be able to do any of this. Somehow I feel essentially that worry transferred onto me growing up, because I had a really awful time kind of embracing, celebrating, generally just accepting the body that I had, or that I have. It was, I mean, most people have worry growing up, but when you have a limb difference, it's just magnified so much more. And one thing that I quite often say to sort of parents of children of Reach members now is, I really wish someone would have sat me down when I was young and said to me, how do you feel about the body that you live in? Because actually, as people with disabilities, people with limb differences, we spend so much time making sure that everyone around us is okay with the way that we look. Nobody ever stops to ask us how we feel about it. How do we see ourselves? And so because nobody talks to you about that, you create it yourself in your head. So that carried right the way on through my teenage years. I would go on dates where I hid my arm for years. I would never wear strappy tops. I would boil in the summer because I would wear jumpers. If I did have to take a jumper off, I would never leave the house with it because it would go over my arm. I knew how to sit, how to stand, how to look in photos. If I went on dates, I quite often it would be with people that hadn't have known yet, and I would know they hadn't known because I sort of, I guess the best way of saying it is like a magician in those moments. You manipulate everybody that you meet into allowing them to think of you. I would just live my life as if I had two arms, and I would make it so they wouldn't think anything different. I was always quite animated with my face. I would always keep eye contact, and it was because I never wanted them to look below my shoulder blade. If I ordered food that I needed cutting up, I would say I needed to go to the toilet, and I'd quickly go to the kitchen and I'd ask them to go on and cut my food up for me.
Wow, so you almost became like a master of disguise of this.
Absolute master of disguise. And my boyfriend that I'm with now, we've been together for 6 years, and I had to tell him on our third date because the first night we met, we were in a nightclub, and in nightclub situations, boys would never know. Like that was the absolute certainty. Like whether I was going to tell them further down the line, if it was ever going to get to that, was one thing. But I would never, ever tell them on the first night I met them, because I used to think chances are that will be the thing that says that, will allow them to say, I don't want to pursue this. And I thought if I can just get one night in there, they can just see that, I'm a good person, and, really funny and I'm caring. And I thought I could get that in, maybe that might help them if, when I do tell them about my arm. And I just lived in absolute constant fear, and it was draining. It was so draining. Quite literally, it was destroying me, because it just hurt so much, and I didn't understand why it hurt so much. I come from a really loving family. I had such loving friends, but none of them, however brilliant they have always been, there was this big gap missing where nobody did ask me growing up, are you okay? What can we do? If you feel fine with it, that's fine. But just the option for that platform to just talk about how it made me feel to have one arm. And I think my mum and dad did know, if ever I with a cardigan on, they'd say, oh, you don't need that cardigan, leave it in there. They knew what the reason was. They were just trying to go for, hard love approach, really. And it was when I was about 25 to 26 that I just said, I can't do this anymore.
So what was that game changer for you? Because, fast forward to now, and you're in this industry which is so appearance focused. You come across as so confident in yourself, very articulate, great in front of the camera. So what was that kind of moment or journey for you that took you to where you are now?
I was living in London, so I left home at 18 to travel Australia with my first boyfriend, and then when I returned, I got into drama school. Lived in London for 7 years, and when I was living, it was 4 years after drama school, and my housemate was a fitness instructor, and she was part of this team from, it's an American concept, a bit like how you have concepts like Zumba and things like that, and it was called Pound Rock Out Workout, and it was a workout that required drumsticks. It's a fantastic workout, it really is, and I just fell in love with it. And for some reason, I didn't once look at it and think, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that. I just sort of threw myself into doing these classes with her in London. And then in May of 2016, Pound Rock Out set a challenge, a worldwide challenge through social media, and it was called Highway to Well. And you could spend a whole month changing something about your life, and hopefully something that might change other people's lives. So I just set the task of going, by the end of this month, it was throughout May, and I said, by the end of this, I will post my first photo on social media where my arm is in it. That's something I've never done. And if anybody had ever, taken a photo of me off guard, in the previous years and had uploaded it. Oh God, I can't tell. And I know everyone can relate to that because, people do take photos, and no matter it doesn't be a limit for you to suddenly get that fear of, oh God, why have you put that on there? It's that exact same feeling that most people will get. It's just a little bit more obvious because it's something I tried to hide for so long. And so I spent a month. You get to know so many people worldwide that all took part in this challenge through hashtags and Instagram handles and stuff, and we all supported each other through it. And at the end of my aim was at the end of the month it was going to be rugby dinner and dance, and my aim was to go to his rugby dinner and dance wearing a black halter neck dress he'd once bought me, and to wear it without a cardigan, and to go to the event without a cardigan, and to dance with my boyfriend and not care. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't care if it were 5 dances or 1 dance. I just wanted to genuinely feel so confident in the moment dancing with my partner like I would dance with theirs, and to not think everyone's looking at me and laughing and thinking how stupid she looks trying to dance and be like everyone else. So for that month I went to the gym. The gym is something I always hated. Obviously, you sweat, so I couldn't wear a jumper, and it's so, it's just the perfect chance for everyone to look at you. But actually it got easier. The first few sessions were really hard, but then it just got easier, and I realised that a lot of people's looks weren't judging me anymore. Like maybe we moved on quite a lot since my teenage years, and people looking at me weren't always laughing. The people looking at me were encouraged by what I was doing. So then at the end of May, we went to the rugby dinner and dance, and I wore the little black halter neck dress. We had a great load of fun, and of course it wasn't a miracle. It wasn't all perfect. I sort of sat at the table for quite a while with my arm underneath, and was thinking, oh, go on, just do it. But the feeling of just getting up and just having a few minutes where I allowed my brain to switch off and stop caring was enough to fuel me to want to keep doing that and keep working on it. And I do still get moments of, oh gosh, but it's so much easier now to go, stop, put that one to the
And that's the thing, isn't it? I think our minds are such amazing things, and we really can have a role in shaping how we feel about things and how we feel about ourselves. And sometimes when you, like you say, you set these little goals and then you achieve them, and before you know it, you're so much further ahead than you were a year ago or 2 years ago. And I think that's fantastic, and you can change the way that you feel about yourself. But I can imagine that, for you being in the acting industry, it was a challenge, especially going to auditions. I mean, how did you approach that? Did you feel that you needed to address your arm in the auditions, or are we hiding it? Like, how did you approach that, and how do you approach it now?
So I suppose it would always depend on whether the role I was going up for was if it was specific to somebody with a disability. If they had, when I was at drama school, my one of my tutors said to me, "That's your gold mine." She said, "I know that you're good. I know that your work ethic is fantastic. So are lots of other people's. That's gold mine." I remember thinking, I want to believe, and I really did. I forced myself to repeat her words in my head often. I know that they didn't always digest. Firstly, am I here because I have a disability? And also, that's fine. Like, lots of people are like, no, don't worry, you didn't just get it because you were disabled. I've never said that I have got a role because I'm disabled. However, if having one arm meant that it got me in the room because people were interested in what that might be, this is the acting industry. You take whatever thing gets you
Sure.
in. And actually, that's kind of what helped me get to the stage I'm at now, which is I ended up saying something, my own sort of mantra, I suppose. I now say to loads of young people that I work with and talks with, And that's take what makes you different, magnify it, glorify it, make it the best thing you own. And for me, it's having one arm. Having one arm has given me so many experiences that I would not have got had I have had two. It's given me absolute hell in terms of the way that I looked at it, but it's given me so much joy in knowing I can come out the other end. And everybody has that. You don't have a limb difference to obviously have something very different about you. It can be your upbringing, there are so many things that make us so different to everybody else, and we have been so conditioned to scrap that and try to conform to what society says is normal. And actually, when you work on the confidence to fully embrace that, there's no feeling like it. It just feels so wonderful. And I take that with me now to every casting, that actually you won't be able to find anybody like me. You might be able to find somebody that you know, as far as what you're looking for is completely on the same level, but actually nobody, unless you've got somebody, even if you've got somebody else with you know, one arm, you wouldn't we still would have lived completely different experiences. And actually all of the things I've ever lived through absolutely help when I take on a character now. So I think it's about, for me, it's been the change from okay, be confident, you know, you've got a limb difference, show them how much you're okay with it, and sort of forcing myself to do it. Whereas now, you know, I genuinely just feel incredibly liberated when I go into an audition room and know that I lived a very different life. And what that does is it allows me to take on characters and interpretations in a completely different way.
Yeah. And do you think that, because this is one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, do you think that if you didn't have your difference, you would be as successful as you are now? Because I know sometimes when we have to overcome adversity and push through and break boundaries, it actually gives to get where we want to go and to prove everybody else wrong. And do you think maybe that was a big part of your success in a way?
100%. I've had to live through enough things that have knocked me down, and I've had to get back up again, like so many other people. And it's this ethos that I now live with, and it's this determination and absolute, you know, I still love this industry, this game, because it is a game. It can be a really tough game at times, and I still love it just as much now as I did when I started drama school 10 years ago. Lots of people drop out within the first years because that game is so hard. It's, oh gosh, you know, there's nights when you just cry yourself to sleep and you wish that you know, would have just taken a different job, or and it's lonely, you know, you don't really have workmates. I suppose if you're in long-standing things, you know, like soaps and stuff, then yes, but on a whole you kind of don't really have that like work family. It's always moving around. You have to sacrifice so much, relationship, seeing your family, and it gets really hard. But I honestly think that I set out with a goal that if I could do just my little part to try and change this industry in any way that I could, then that's enough to keep refueling my fire. And every job that I get, of course it feels good personally, you know, any actor that gets a job, you're like, yes, I got it, ring mum, ring dad, ring nan, ring everybody, tell them so let them feel proud of you. And of course, you know, selfishly that does feel brilliant for a little bit, but what feels even bigger is knowing that if it's something that younger me's would have seen, the change that can do is huge. When I was first on Coronation Street, I got a lovely message from a grandparent, and she may be part of Reach, I'm not sure, and her granddaughter had got to an age where she'd started to sort of hide it a bit. She was only, you know, sort of, I think about maybe 9 or 10, but had got to the point where she was starting to hide a little bit. And apparently she came out one day, she came running through the living room with her arm up in the air saying, "That's the girl on Corrie that looks like me." That's enough. that's it. You know, as an actor, you're constantly seeking validation, but having young people, and especially teenagers, that, you know, say that they that something that I did has changed the way they now look at something, or, you know, with and without limb differences. That's kind of all the information that you need, really.
Absolutely. And I read about another interview that you did, and you told a story about you seeing a 3-year-old girl in the park or something, and her mum was asked by another mum to cover up her limb difference because it was scaring the other mum's children. And that made me realise, you know, and this still happens, and there's still so much work that we need to do. But like you say, to be able to see actors in the media, models with all kinds of differences, when that becomes the new normal, then that's when seeing differences in real life and day to day is not going to be an issue.
Absolutely. No, I just know, and it's not in any way a violin situation. I have lived a wonderful life. You know, I'm 29, and it's I'm so happy with everything that's happened in my life. But I know that my mum was so hurt and so lonely, and I know that I then was so lonely. And if I can in any way help parents not to feel that isolation or that worry, I really, that, as I say, it really is enough to make me want to just keep fighting for our place in the industry.
So if you know, we'll have a lot of parents watching, if you could give them a piece of advice about when, because, you know, all kids can go through tough times. A lot of kids go through bullying with and without visible differences. But when you're raising a child with a visible difference that's that little bit more unique, would you have a piece of advice for them in terms of how they approach it?
I think keep the dialogue open, you know, and look out for it. I'm not saying wade in and always ask them if they're okay and do they want to talk. You know, I'm not suggesting that, because I do think that we have to find our own feet with this, and we have to, before somebody asks us how we feel, we have to sort of gauge where we're at, and that shouldn't be influenced. That should just be the chance to be in a group of young people that don't have visible differences, and allowing us as young people to just sit with that for a minute and work out how it is that, you know, how do we feel about it. But I think, especially when those signs start to come through, just to look out for the hiding, look out for the, and it can be so subtle. It can just be going for dinner. Look at how they work out where they sit. When they go to sit somewhere, are they sitting so that their arm isn't going to be visible? What are they wearing? Are they choosing not to show it off? And all of them are okay things. As I say, I'm not saying to go in and wade in and want to change it, but I really wish that I'd had someone that could have had those conversations with me. And I think we focus so much on limb difference, I think a lot of the time, on practical things. Oh, she can tie her shoelaces, she can cut her dinner up. Have you seen this brand new bionic arm? Have you seen this new realistic looking arm? All of those things are, if that's what you're into, then all of those things are fantastic. But actually, at the heart of it should be, how does your young person feel about the way they look? And as they grow up, that will change, and it may get harder. So having that dialogue at the beginning will help no end. It really will.
And if you could go back and say something to your younger self, or to the younger viewers watching, what do you think you would say? I guess I would say what I told myself is, take your limb difference, magnify it, show it to the world, make it the best thing that you own, because nobody has lived the life that you've lived, and you've lived that life because you've experienced things in a different way, and that is so exciting. And we're basically like little superheroes, aren't we? That's what we are. Well,
when I see, I remember going to see, and this is an awful example because it's everything I fight against. but seeing one of the examples I use is Charlize Theron in Mad Max. She has her arm CGI'd off, which is everything we are fighting against. Just put that in there. Stop CGIing actors' limbs off when you have enough actors that already don't have those limbs.
Absolutely.
And she has this bionic arm. And she is, I just remember sitting in the cinema watching that and feeling so empowered. I think I was maybe early 20s when that first came out. And I just felt like out of everyone in this cinema, I'm the closest thing to that absolute class that's on TV, on the screen. Do you know what I mean? Like, out of everybody, I'm the closest to that. So how cool does that make me feel? Now, obviously, the flip side to that is, how cool would I have felt if it was actually an actor with one arm? That would have skyrocketed how it made me feel. But we do, like, if you look at superheroes and you look at kind of characters like that, when they've got bionic arms or they don't have arms, like, they're cool. So are we.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I have a favourite quote, and it's on a poster in my son's room on his wall, and it's everything that you've just said in this interview, and it is, no one is you, and that is your superpower. And that's the epitome of what you said. So, and I want to ask you, do you have any inspirational words or quotes about being unique that inspire you?
So it's not so much about being unique, but Steve Martin has one that says, be so good they can ignore you. And I think that I've carried that one with me, and it's transferable to any career that you want to go into. Take what makes you different, but at the heart of everything, be so good that they can't ignore you. I think that it's a really good one just to have kind of planted in your head.
Melissa, thank you so much for speaking with me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Welcome, thank you.
And good luck with your filming. Can you tell us anything about your upcoming project?
Yes, so I have, at the end of last year, finished filming Mike Bartlett's new BBC One 6-part drama, Life, which is my first lead role one of the lead roles in a drama. It's alongside incredible actors, Alison Steadman, Peter Davidson, Victoria, Adrian Lester, amazing actors. So that will be BBC One 9 o'clock, 6-part drama, and they're looking at sort of May, June-ish for that. So I'll make sure that I let you know exactly when that air date is. The upcoming drama that I'm filming for this week is Billie Piper's new drama called I Hate to Be.
How exciting!
Yes, and for anybody based up north in actually Manchester, Newcastle, wherever, I am. So I'm doing a one-woman show called Snatched, which is for the parents, rich members, not for children, but for parents of rich children. It's an autobiographical piece. It will be at the Lowry in Manchester in October, and it will be at Live Theatre in Newcastle in March.
I would love to come if we can, and we'll definitely be tuning in to Life. And best of luck with the filming, and we hope to speak with you again in the near future.
Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thanks, Melissa. Bye-bye.
Wow, I loved chatting to Melissa, and I hope you guys found her words as inspiring as I did. If you loved this episode of SIBO TV, please hit subscribe so you don't miss out on the next awesome interview. And if you feel any of your friends and family would benefit from watching this, please do spread the love and hit share. Until next time, guys, be kind, and most importantly, be you.